Hello, friends of yoga. Welcome. My name is Lana. Thanks for joining me here today for a short little heart opening flow. So, a little bit of back bending, a little bit of twisting, getting those intercostal muscles open and shining that heart forward so we can move on through the rest of our day. So, we're going to begin sitting on our shins. If that feels a little bit uncomfortable for you, you can always use a block, a pillow, or a book and just slide it between your heels and your seat. So getting yourself comfortable on those shins, roll those shoulders back, creating space between the ears and the shoulders, lengthening up through the spine, lifting through the crown, and just tuning in towards your breath here, taking a few big inhales, maybe an exhale through the mouth to begin, settling here. And just coming back to that easy breath and setting an intention for your practice today. You can open the eyes if they're closed. We're going to take an inhale, slide the hands in, shoulders and elbows back, heart open, look up. And then as you exhale, we're going to round it here. So tilt that pelvis here, shoulders will hunch forward, chin in towards the chest. And then we'll inhale, arch the back, look up. Little cat-cow is on the shins here. And exhale, round. Inhale, open. Two more here. Exhale. Inhale, arch. And then exhale, round it here. And then we'll inhale. We'll come right back to neutral spine. If you like, you can lift your seat. You can tuck those toes. You can have a peek here from a side view. And then just sitting back onto the heels. You can let the arms hang by your side. Let those shoulders feel soft. Let the spine grow long. Nice stretch for the arches of the feet here. And you can keep the feet there, or you can come back to the tops of the feet, whatever feels good for you. Remember, this is your practice. I'm here to just lead you through. So honor your body, do what feels best. We're going to open those palms. We're going to inhale, draw those arms up, maybe the gaze to follow fingertips. Open the palms and exhale that energy and breath back down. Inhale to rise. And exhale. Inhale, rise up. Let's hold it here. Keep the breath flowing. So you're turning those pinkies in, thumbs out slightly, shoulders sliding away. Keep that belly nice and strong. Breathe. We'll take one more inhale. As we exhale, we're going to wrap those arms behind the back, interlace the fingers. Inhale, roll the shoulder blades together, heart shines forward, look up. And with your exhale, let's bow forward. We're going to pause here for an inhale and for an exhale. And when you're ready, release the fingers. Inhale, rise up on the knees as the arms sweep down, forward, and all the way up. One big breath. Palms come together, and exhale, seat to heels. All right, we're going to flow with the breath here. Let's inhale, reach up. Exhale, wrap the arms, interlace. Inhale, roll the shoulder blades together, open up. Exhale, bow forward, belly to thighs. Pause here for your inhale and your exhale. Release the fingers. Inhale, rise up on those knees. Reach up with the arms, palms together, and exhale. And again, inhale. Exhale. Inhale, roll it open. Exhale, bow. Inhale. And exhale. Release the fingers. Inhale, rise up. Nice little mini back bend. Palms come together. And exhale through heart center. All right, we're going to come onto all fours here. So lining up our wrists and shoulders, knees and hips. Those hands are planted shoulder width apart, knees hip width apart. We're going to inhale, keeping the spine neutral. And then as we exhale, we'll just round the spine out here. Press through those palms, chin in towards the chest. And then we'll take an inhale, gently arching the back, moving through the tail as we ripple up through the back, looking up as we inhale. And then exhale, round it out. Sorry, that's my meowing cat while I'm in cat pose. And then we'll inhale, arch. And exhale. All right. We're going to just come back to that neutral spine. We're going to take the knees nice and wide, big toes to touch, hips to heels, and just coming into our first child's pose, forehead down towards the floor as the hands walk towards the front edge of the mat. Nice big inhales here, lengthening out the spine. And then from here, we're going to look up towards our hands. We're going to take an inhale, and we're just going to slither arms, forearms will come onto the mat and slither onto our bellies. Coming right into a cobra, fingertips are just under the shoulders here. Inhale, cobra. Exhale, gently release, pressing back to your hands and knees, rounding it out, and then exhale back to your child's pose. So we're going to flow with the breath here, one breath per movement. We're going to look forward, we're going to inhale, and we'll scoop right into our cobra. One big breath, inhale. Exhale, press through the palms, knees, round it out. Keeping it here as you inhale, arch the back, look up. And then exhale, hips to heels, back to child's. Let's do that again. Look forward. Inhale, scoop chin and chest along the floor, right into your cobra. Exhale, round it out in your cat. Inhale, arch your back in tabletop. And then exhale, back to child's. Breathing here. From here, we're going to look up. We're going to lift those hips. We're going to tuck the toes. We're going to come up to our first downward facing dog. So make sure those fingers are fanned out evenly. And they're planted almost as wide as your mat here. Start to lift your hips. Start with really bent knees. And as your knees stay bent, start to draw your belly towards your thighs here. So you get that nice flat back, that inverted V, upside down V. And then once you start to feel like you can straighten the legs a little bit, start to straighten them. Maybe you can pedal the heels, one heel comes down as the other lifts, walking out your calves and your hips. Subtle softness in those elbows, you're not locking them out. Broadening the shoulders, letting that head hang free, and just breathe here. Find stillness. We're going to look forward here. Let's walk up towards the front of our hands. Feet are about hip width apart, hands on shins. Let's inhale, lengthen. And exhale, take a fold. Standing forward fold, folding at that hip crease. So once again, maybe needing the knees to be a little bit bent. We don't want to lock them out. We don't want to be rounding in that spine. And then from here, we're going to keep our feet hip width apart. We're going to have our fingertips touching the floor on either side of those feet, and start to bend the knees a little bit more like you're sitting into a chair. We're going to come into Utkatasana with feet hip width. So start to inhale, sink into the heels as you start to bring those arms all the way up. You can have them halfway if that feels better, hugging them up and in, pinkies and thumbs out. Keep engaging through that core. Breathe. And then we'll inhale, we'll come straight up. We'll bring the palms together and exhale through heart center in Tadasana, mountain pose. Bring our hands by our sides. We're going to inhale, reach up. Exhale, wrap the hands behind the back, interlace the fingers. Inhale, roll the shoulder blades together, open that heart up. And then exhale, we're going to take that fold, just like we were doing on our knees. We're going to pause here for an inhale and an exhale. Gently release the fingers, bend the knees, scoop the arms. One big inhale into chair. Palms come together, and we'll exhale to stand. We'll do that again. Here we go, flowing with the breath. Inhale. Exhale, wrap. Inhale, roll it open. And exhale, fold. Pausing here for an in-breath and an out-breath. Bend the knees, scoop the arms. Inhale, right into chair. Palms come together. Exhale to standing and hands through to heart center. One more. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale, fold. Keeping it here for your inhale and your exhale. Bend the knees. Inhale, scoop right back to chair. Palms together and exhale. Pausing here, finding your breath. Let's inhale, reach up at those arms. Exhale, let's take a bow. Inhale, halfway look up. And then as we exhale, we're going to step back with that left foot. We're going to bring it at a bit of a side angle, pointing to the left corner of your mat, lunging through the front leg. We're coming up to warrior one. So you can draw those hips forward, take that rib cage squaring forward. Inhale, arms to float up. So really pressing down through the back, pinky toe side of your foot, and then really drawing up through the inner left thigh. Sitting back through the right hip, lunging through that front leg, really root through both feet. I'm going to take an inhale. On the exhale, let's wrap those arms behind the back, interlace the fingers. Inhale, roll it open. Pausing here, breathe. Keep that lunge in the front leg. Take one more inhale. As we exhale, we'll start to fold here. Maybe you're coming about halfway to the floor, just above that right thigh, or maybe you can start to fold a little more to the inside. Maybe getting that right shoulder to the inner right knee. You can let the head hang. You can bring your drishti to that big right toe. Couple more breaths. From here, let those fingers gently come apart, so bend the arms. Let them slowly come towards your right foot. We're going to plant the left hand to the edge of the mat and up a bit. Let the back left heel lift, so you're in a runner's lunge. Take an inhale, and then exhale, take a twist towards your right, and let that right arm float up, so you're looking up towards the right thumb. Keep pressing through that back left heel. Reach to the right fingertips. Keep the face soft, keep the breath flowing. And we'll bring the gaze back down towards the floor. Exhale, float the right hand down. We're going to shift the weight back a little and then step forward with that left foot back to meet the right. Inhale, lengthen up. Then exhale, fold. Let's inhale, flow all the way up. Wide arms, flat back, palms together, and exhale. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, take that bow. Inhale, halfway to look up. On the exhale, we'll step back this time with the right foot. So we're coming into that Virabhadrasana 1, that warrior 1. So plant that foot so the toes are out a little bit. And you want to make sure your feet are almost as wide as your mat, especially if you're losing your balance a little bit. It's okay. Classically, we have the heels on a midline running down the center of your mat. You want the rib cage rotating forward, lunging through that front knee, pressing through that pinky toe side of the right foot this time, drawing up through the inner right leg, and then we can float those arms up on an in-breath, warrior one. One more inhale. On the exhale, the arms are going to wrap behind, interlace the fingers. Inhale, roll it open, look up, hold it here for a couple breaths. Keep the lunge, almost as if you're trying to tear your mat in two as you press through those feet. One more inhale, and as we exhale, we slowly start to bow. Going to where it feels good for you. Keep hugging that left sit bone into your inner right thigh so it doesn't start to shoot out towards the left. Breathe. And gently let those fingers release. Coming to the floor, we'll plant that right hand. Lift the back heel, take an inhale. Exhale, take your twist towards the left. Float that left arm up, looking up towards the left thumb, fingertips to the ceiling. We'll look down towards the floor. We'll float that left hand down. This time we're going to be planting those hands and stepping back with that left foot to a plank. Your choice. You can come into that full plank, or you can modify with knees on the floor. With that full plank, we're really engaging the core, pulling belly to spine, pressing through the heels, really flexing those quadriceps, making them nice and strong. Neck stays in line with the spine so the head's not hanging down. Breathe. We're going to slowly lower this, so if you prefer to have knees on the floor, do that. Before you lower, just shift a little bit forward. Bend those elbows. Exhale, slowly lower. Elbows pointing towards the back edge of your mat. Brushing the ribs. Coming right down onto the floor with control. We'll untuck those toes. We'll just pause here. So we want fingertips in line with the tops of the shoulders. We're going to do a couple of cobras. A little back bending, heart opening. And when we're in our cobra on our floor, sometimes it's nicer to have the feet a little bit wider on the mat. If you have any sort of tightness or dealing with any back stuff, that'll help. If you want to come into the full cobra, you can bring your feet right together. Okay, so we have our hands on the floor, face hovering. We're going to take an inhale. We're going to press into those palms as we extend the spine, like you're pulling it through, lifting chin and chest from the floor, elbows in, and then use an exhale to slowly lower. We'll do this again. Press through the palms. Inhale, lift. And exhale, lower. And again, inhale, lift, keeping shoulders out of the ears. And exhale, lower. All right, let's just stack hand on hand, elbows wide, forehead resting on top of those stacked hands. Just breathing here. Give your hips a little wiggle. Maybe a couple sighs as you inhale and exhale. All right, so we'll lift the head back up. We'll plant the hands where they were, fingertips in line with the shoulders, elbows in, shoulders away from the ears. This time as we inhale to lift, we're gonna just have the hands hovering above the floor. So let them hover. Inhale, lift, chin and chest away. Exhale, lower. Inhale, lift. And exhale, lower. One more. Inhale, lift. And exhale, lower. Let's press into those palms and just press yourself gently back into a child's pose. So hips towards your heels. Forehead coming down towards the floor. And we'll look up towards our hands and just slowly slide those hands back towards your legs here. So we're back where we began, sitting on our shins, nice and tall. Roll those shoulders back. We're going to come into another little back bend heart opener to finish off. So we'll come up onto our knees. We're up on our knees. The knees are about hip distance apart here. And you've got your hips stacked over your knees. So nice and tall. We'll take the heels of our hands and place them into the small of our back, drawing those elbows towards one another. So even from here, you're in a little mini back bend. You're drawing elbows towards one another. You're opening up. You're starting to look up towards the ceiling as you press your hips gently forward. Keep visualizing the spine growing long. So we're coming up and then back. So we're not just crunching back. It doesn't matter how far back you go, as long as it feels like a good back bend for you. If you want, you can tuck the toes under like we were doing earlier. Inhale, keep lifting. Let the eyes trace the ceiling towards the back. Maybe one hand, we'll try the right hand reaching towards a heel. And then inhale, reach up with the left arm. And exhale. And then slowly bring both hands back towards the small of your back. Just take your chin in towards your chest. And then inhale, we'll do the other side, pressing those hips forward, looking up towards the ceiling. Optional to reach towards that heel, the left hand this time. Inhale up with the right, and exhale. Camel pose, and then inhale slowly. Bring those hands back to the small of your back. We'll untuck the toes, and then slowly just bring your seat back towards your heels. Hands will slide forward onto your lap here, and just pause. All right, we'll do it one more time, coming into full camel, or just hands staying on the back and going as far as it feels good. Coming back up onto those knees, hips over the knees, hands to the small of the back to start. Inhale, bring about that length. Hips come forward a little. Open up through that heart center. Look up towards the ceiling, choosing to tuck the toes or not. And then reaching back, maybe right hand and left. Inhale, open it up. Shoulder blades come together. Looking for that back wall. Breathe. And then slowly bring the chin in. One hand, then the other. Coming back to neutral. Untuck the toes. Slowly bring hips back towards your heels. Hands back to your knees. Just pause here with a neutral spine. We will counterpose that back bend, but it's nice to just let the spine find its space, find its neutral alignment. And then from here, we'll start to fold forward like you're going into child's pose. And we're going to go into that sleeping child's pose. So the arms are back, forehead down towards the floor. Maybe you have a block, maybe you're not quite there. You can just rest your forehead onto a block. And just pause here, breathe. Let that spine release. Then we're just going to do our little counter pose, just rounding the back out a little bit more. We're going to move into rabbit pose. So from here, you're just going to start to grab onto the heels. So it's like you're hanging off the heels with your hands. You're going to tuck the chin in towards your chest. And then start to lift your seat away from your heels. And your head's not even on the floor. It's just hovering above the floor.
You're hanging on those heels. Your arms are nice and long. Belly is in. Rounding it out. Breathe into that back body, into the back ribs, into the back low back, into that lumbar. Couple more breaths. And then gently release. Bring the hands to the floor beside the knees and gently roll your spine all the way back up. All right. Let's just cross at those ankles and come onto our seat. We're going to scoot ourselves up to the front of our mat here. I should have mentioned at the beginning of class, I don't know if you noticed, I've got a rolled blanket, could be a towel or blanket. If you have anything handy, we're going to use that at the end of the class here as we ease down. We're going to send those arms forward. Of course, you can use your hands for support on the floor. We're just going to roll ourselves out, coming down onto our back. I'm going to come into a reclining spinal twist. So with lots of back bending, it's nice to twist it out. So we'll lift those feet up off the floor. We can send our arms out into a T. We'll take an inhale. And as we exhale, we're going to bring both knees over towards the left. So you want to bring them with control, nice and slow, letting them come towards the floor or maybe a block or maybe a pillow between the legs. If it feels really sticky, you can always shift your hips more towards the right as you turn those knees over towards the left. I like to bring my left hand onto my stacked knees, and then I'm going to look over towards the right as I draw that right shoulder towards the floor. Breathing deeply into the side body here. And then we'll release that left arm. Inhale, right leg and left to follow. I'm going to shift my hips over towards the left. Create right angles with those knees. Inhale, engage that core so I can lower my knees to the right with control. And then I'm going to draw that left shoulder towards the floor. Look left, maybe right hand onto the stacked knees. Help assist with that twist. Nice deep breaths. You can close the eyes. And then let's release that right arm. Inhale, left leg, right to follow. Give those knees a little hug, a little rock on that low back. And I thought with that rolled blanket or towel, you can bring that to your mat if you're using it. If not, you can just lay back. I'm going to bring it just so that it's just under my rib cage. So not on my low back, just under. And then I'm going to lay back onto my head and come into those cactus arms. So your arms are bent at right angles, backs of the hands, palms facing up. And you can keep your feet on the floor with heel toeing your feet out to the edge of your mat and then knees just coming in towards one another. It's a nice spot to have your feet and your knees. If you want, you can straighten those legs right out. That feels okay for your low back. And just close the eyes here. Take a few rounds of that full yogic breath. So let's take a nice deep inhale, fill the belly, all the way up into the lungs, up to the throat. Take a little pause. Exhale through the nose. Expel all the breath as the belly comes in. Pause at the bottom of the breath. And again, inhale. Pause at the top if you can. And then exhale. We'll do one more full round. And as we exhale, we'll let it out through the mouth. Let's inhale. Pause. And then just come back to that effortless breathing. We'll stay here for a couple more minutes, a couple more breaths, maybe not minutes. From here, you can just plant your feet, lift your seat up, and just gently remove your towel, your blanket, and then just coming back to lay down with the backs of the arms on the floor, a few inches from the body, palms facing up, and roll those shoulders under. You can lift the chin to the chest and then place the head back down. Hips rolling open, feet flopping to the side in your Shavasana. Final relaxation. Shavasana being one of those asanas, those poses, sometimes we can't wait to get to, but really traditionally, classically, it's one of the harder poses to face. You want to be able to stay focused and relax at the same time. So maybe bring your awareness to your breath after you've given the body a little scan from the tips of your toes to the crown of your head. And with that breath, just pausing in any areas throughout your body that might be still holding on, might be still gripping. And let that exhale release and let go of any of that stickiness. It can be just an easy, effortless breath. The face soften. And just melt into that state of grace. And slowly just begin to wiggle fingers and toes, just moving in small ways that you need. When you're ready, we'll stretch our arms up overhead, point the toes, nice long stretch. And then let's hug those knees in. Little rock from side to side. And then we'll turn to one side. Pause. And then carefully bringing yourself up to your cross-legged seat, Sukhasana, easy seat. I hope you're still sticking with me and you went through that Shavasana with me. A nice way to always end your class. Let's bring our hands to the center, closing the eyes, and bowing to the teachers and all of you. Namaste. Thank you for joining me.